It's almost Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
Yes, Labor Day. Woo!
Fun.
Labor Day. When we celebrate the back-breaking, crushing blow to our bodies and spirits that takes place when we toil underneath the grueling thumb of...
No, this is a celebration video. Labor Day is a holiday, day off. You're thinking of the wrong kind of labor.
Sorry. Then Labor Day must be the day that we celebrate the American Labor Party, which was dismantled in the 1950s due to its cozy relationship with communism.
No, Labor Day is about hot dogs and beaches and Matlock marathons. It's vacation. Wrong kind of labor.
Okay, now I get it. Happy Labor Day, when we celebrate the 19 hours your mother pushed and as that pumpkin you call a head tried to make its way.
Are you insane? That's not a vacation. That's difficult. Why would we celebrate hard things?
Well, who said there isn't a place in our faith for difficult things? I mean, some good things only come from hard things. As a matter of fact, the greatest joys are a result of the greatest difficulties. It's why Colossians says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. Our work matters to God, even the hardest parts. We just can't forget who we're doing it all for.
All I know is that this video is supposed to be about a day off, so get to the point. I'm late for the beach, gotta heat the charcoal, make the burger patties, bake my Jerry Lewis-faced MDA cookies, put on more sunblock.
You sound stressed.
Of course I'm stressed, I'm vacationing.
That's not a day off, that's a nightmare.
I'm grilling for 30 people.
You know, God wants us to work hard, but He also wants us to rest well.
Rest? What's that?
Well, according to Mark 6, after hard work, Jesus urged the apostles to go to a quiet place and rest a while.
Take a break? From ministry?
Imagine that. God cares about your well-being. He cares about your day off. It's a time to show Him how grateful we are for the fruits of our labor.
Just like Labor Day.
I'm grateful that we serve a God who insists upon rest and reflection. Otherwise, we would never know the great value that comes from the tough times. It's a perfect reason to take a day off.
A day off. I think I'll just nap right here.
This Labor Day, be grateful for the work that God has put into your hands. And don't be afraid to take a little holiday.
Holiday! Celebrate!
You're drooling on my toenails.
Did we get that?
So, it's Labor Day weekend. It's kind of fitting that I knew last week of baptism, I did not nearly expect as many people we had, but I knew Labor Day is always, people are out, people are vacationing, people are going away. In Michigan, we're trying to get our last little bit of camping, swimming, all of that in. And I thought, what a perfect thing to talk about is resting. And understanding that God calls us to rest. And we're going to dive into some verses, we're going to talk about that. But it's only fitting, as Jamie shared with that, you know, as coming off of the first week of school, from the kids being exhausted from going back to school, to all of this different stuff. And we try to, and it's Jackson's birthday weekend, so we got all sorts of stuff going on for that. It's Labor Day, we celebrate all this stuff. And the joke has always been, who's going to end up in the ER? And I beat everybody to the punch yesterday and got to go to the ER. Got the fun of kidney stones. What a wonderful and I thought, okay, God, are you serious? There's a moment as I'm in there and they're telling me all of that's going on that I'm just like, God, really? The sermon is supposed to be about rest. The sermon is supposed to, and literally I don't like going to the doctor, let alone the ER, and here you're forcing me to rest. You're forcing me to lay in a bed and have other people take care of me. And I just don't like this. And it really hit more home the importance of rest, the importance of taking care of ourselves. So we're going to go into that. So my senior year of college, I discovered one of my amazing talents was I could sleep anywhere. We had, my senior year, we had a love seat, so smaller. Shocker, I'm a big guy. So I found a way to sleep on this love seat in such a mangled, like, it probably looked about equal to this picture I found, right? Like, of this guy. I found a way to be able to sleep anywhere. And when you're doing your student teaching, and you're living with 4 other guys in a house that all are in their senior year of college, and all are experiencing senior year of college and doing all the things that you do your senior year of college, staying out late, doing all this stuff. And here I am student teaching, going, I have to be up at 6:30 in the morning, and I have to teach. And then I come back from teaching, and they go, hey, let's go to a movie. Let's go here, and stay out till like 2 in the morning. So I found ways to like take a power nap as soon as school ended so that I could keep up with them. So I would just find pockets to rest anywhere. Luckily, it has served me well because I've been able to, as my wife said, sleep anywhere through anything. Kids crying, newborns, all of that stuff, I could just fall asleep. I feel bad about the fact that I really do feel bad about that I could sleep anywhere. I still can sleep anywhere. If you put me in a recliner right now and you put on a movie that I've already watched, I will be asleep in under 3 minutes, guaranteed. And I'm not even that tired right now because I slept most of yesterday. But I can find a way to sleep through anything. I'm glad that because of this, I've generationally passed this down to my kids. Hopefully I continue to train them to sleep anywhere. But again, through our stressful week, through all of this stuff, through kids playing sports, first week of school, Isabel doing cheer and volleyball, the conversation has been, you're tired. And you can imagine what a 10 and 12-year-olds say to you when you tell them they're tired. No, I'm not, right? And it's like, no, I promise you're tired. You just need sleep. No, I don't. And yesterday I looked at my beautiful 12-year-old daughter and said, Isabel, you're tired. You just need to close your eyes, just watch a movie, do whatever. I'm not tired. Okay? I look over 30 seconds later, she's asleep on the couch. And I find out last night that her comment, as Jamie said, well, you did take a pretty long nap yesterday. She's like, I didn't nap yesterday. So it's like, oh, yeah, it was only 2 hours. It's fine. But right, like our bodies do that. We just shut down. We get so tired. And we talk about that. And we live in this culture, this world that pushes us to work harder, to do more things, to push our bodies beyond that. But the Bible tells us no. It's rest that we need. It talks over and over and over again in the Bible about rest, the importance of rest. I've talked about it for Senior Sunday. We talked about Elijah and the fresh bread because he was just tired. He needed sleep. A couple weeks ago, we talked about that verse that they shared about Jesus in the boat going, it's time for us to rest. We've been talking to so many people. We need to get in a boat and get away from the people, and we need to rest. And Jesus fell asleep in the boat. The importance of rest. It's honestly... They talk about the 3 things that Jesus commands, and I did not research this to follow up to make sure, but this guy yesterday, as I was looking at this, he said that Jesus commands rest, the 3rd most important thing. He talks about loving God, loving others, and then rest was the 3rd most important, or 3rd most talked about thing that Jesus instructs us to, which I'm not at all shocked when you look at that. So we're going to go through a bunch of verses here. Isaiah 14, 3 and 4. On the day the Lord gives you relief from the suffering and turmoil and from harsh labor forced on you, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon, how the oppressor has come to an end, how his fury has ended. Talking about rest. Matthew, I'm going to be all over, not even in one spot. Matthew 11, 28 and 29. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Psalm 4:8. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Exodus 28 through 10. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor in all your work. But on the 7th day is Sabbath for the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreign residing in your town. Genesis, right? God shows us right in Genesis. On the 7th day, God had finished all the work he had been doing, so on the 7th day he rested from his work. And God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. In Mark 6:31 that they shared in the video and we talked about a few weeks ago. Then because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat. So he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Rest is important. But yet I don't know about you, but I fail at this often. Like I did not tell Jamie to say what she said, but it's right, like our family, we struggle with this. We know we need rest. We know we need time away. We know we need this, but we don't do it. We fail time and time again. God calls us to rest, And we say, yeah, I'll rest later. I'll take care of that later, right? The old adage of, the old farmer you hear, I'll rest when I'm dead. We'll do that later. We'll take care of our bodies later. We'll do all that. But God says, no, it's important to rest. It's important to take care of yourself. We need rest. We push through. Maybe you're having, a job that you don't like and you're just struggling and you push through and you say, well, someday I'll get past this. I'll retire. I'll do whatever. Like we look for those moments of rest where God says, no, it's not about looking forward to all of those moments. It's not about going, okay, if, I've shared this before. One of my good friends, I still remember just being heartbroken, sitting in his living room and hearing his dad say how many days he had till he could retire. And it wasn't like days like, 12 more days. It was like 5 years, so many months and whatever, because he was looking forward to the rest. He was looking forward. And God calls us, no, that's not what it's about. It's not about looking to that. It's about realizing that a healthy lifestyle is walking through that. So as we come to Labor Day weekend, I think it's kind of fitting that schools have started now before Labor Day, because now we get that mass chaotic first week or two out of the way, and then you get a moment to just breathe and rest and take your husband to the ER, because that's what Jamie really wanted to do on her rest. But right, like we fail this over and over where God says we need to rest. We need to take that. So what does that look like for you? It's going to look different for many, for who you are compared to who I am. For me, I was talking with the guy that we're getting the new church from, and we were sitting down, and he's like, oh man, I'm looking forward to this 4-day weekend, John. I said, yeah, and he said, I'm going to do this. And he walked me through his entire weekend. And it was kind of funny because as he turned around, I was with Jamie's dad, and we were sitting there talking to him, and he got done, and he finished, and we got in the car to leave. And I looked at Jamie's dad, and I said, there is no part of that weekend that sounds restful or relaxing to me at all. That sounds absolutely miserable. And he's like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But for him, that was rest. So I can't sit up here and say, what you need to do is, charter a fishing boat and go fishing, because you may hate fishing. You may get seasick like I do. My one and only fishing excursion on Lake Michigan was spent feeding the fish over the side of the boat. Like, that's not restful to me. There's things that aren't, that Jamie and I talk about this all the time. Like, we go away on vacation. We're like, okay, this is great. And we get 3 days into the vacation. We go, I want to be home. Don't you want to be home? Yeah. We're homebodies, right? Like, so I can't give you the prescription of this is what you need to do. But you have to look inside, and what is it that feeds your soul? What is it that feeds you back? What is it that draws you closer back to God? Because that's the point of rest. Monday you went back to school. All the days blur together when your kids and wife go back to school. No, Monday, Jamie went back to school and the kids. And I got my routine back. It was this wonderful routine that I enjoy. I get up with, most part, I get up with them, help them get out the door. I shut the door. I look at Max and go back to sleep. Dog, like I don't need you right now. And I sit in my recliner with my big tall glass of ice water, and I usually talk to God. I break out the Bible, I read through stuff, and I got it back. And it was amazing. I got this moment in that literal half an hour to just take a moment and rest. And then I felt super guilty. So I texted my wife and I said, I miss you guys, and I hope your day's going well and all this, because I got guilty because here I was, they were off to school, but I got my chance to rest. I got my chance to connect back with God. I got my chance to, and that's what rest needs to be. It should be looking at how you connect to God in those ways that you rest, the ways that you go out. So I butcher this name all the time, but it's a great quote by Soren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher. If I were allowed to prescribe just one remedy for all the ills of the modern world, I would prescribe silence. Being alone. Take a moment just to rest. Everything you're facing, everything that you're struggling with, have you taken a moment and just said, let me get back to God. Let me have a moment of quiet where I can just reflect on God. Every situation that, as I looked at, as I was going through all of this different stuff and the different things that we've faced and the different things, our family and the church and all of this, and I went, can be fixed by just having a moment of silence talking to God. Taking a moment and looking at what it is that God has for you. Taking a moment and rest. Because the world, again, tells us, go, 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 go. And God says, rest. Again, as I shared with you, the three things that he talked about. He said that it's mentioned in the Bible is to love God, to have a relationship with Jesus, to be in favor with God. The second was to love other people. And the third was to rest. The most talked about thing is to rest, to take a moment. So, going through this, I have 4 points that in all of my study, because I spent a lot of time this week learning about rest. I promise that didn't mean that I just took power naps all week while Jamie and the kids were gone. I really did study about what it means to have rest. And there's 4 things that jumped out at me, 4 points that I just want for you. Rest is emotional honesty. When you've come to the conclusion within yourself that you need rest, you've won the battle. Again, I'm going to pick on my daughter for a minute. When I looked at her and said, honey, you're tired. It's obvious, right? Like, it was the same thing when the kids were little. You look at them and you're like, you're just tired, just sleep. You just need rest. And no, I don't. No, I don't need rest. I'm fine. If I can do that, no, you just need rest. And God's up there telling you, you just need rest. You need to take a moment. So just being honest with yourself, emotionally honest with yourself, that we need rest. When we rest, the second thing happens. Rest is a return to your true identity. You know those old Snickers commercials where they're like, you're not you if you're hungry, right? Like in Betty White and all that stuff. I feel like it's the same way. It's hunger, but it's also rest. We become something that we're not. The things that I've said when I'm tired or cranky or whatever you want to call it, that as a grown man can be, the things I've done, the things that have come out of my mouth, those are the most not me moments. Those are the most struggles that I have because I'm not who I am. I've said stuff because I'm angry or whatever. Jamie and I, we go through premarital counseling, not us. We help others go. That was a really bad way to put that. Jamie and I aren't still going through premarital counseling. When people want to be married, they go through premarital counseling. And one of the things that we talk about even this week, right, is we talk about the fact that sometimes things happen when you're just tired. And one of the things that Jamie and I have learned in our marriage, and somebody had told us this, is never go to bed angry. For Jamie and I, that's a horrible advice because we're cranky, we're tired, and we say things that we don't mean. So sometimes we just go, you know what? I love you enough that I'm just going to go to bed because this conversation can take place tomorrow. It helps us get back to our real identity. It's the same thing of when you're really angry about something and you write a letter to somebody, what do they always tell you to do? Don't give them the letter right away, wait 24 hours, right? Don't write that emotional response that you're having because you're just tired or you're cranky or something has happened. Rest on it. Spend time talking to God. Help return to who your true identity is. The third one that I've shared a couple times already is rest is countercultural. This world is going to look at you being weird when you take care of yourself, right? The culture tells us to work harder, longer, to go through life, and if you just put in 3 more hours at work, your boss is going to notice. If you just do this, it's countercultural to rest and say, you know what? No. God, what is it that you have for me? To just rest. And the last thing I want you to know is rest isn't failure. Rest is spiritual. If you're doing it right, where you take a moment and just breathe. And in one of my moments of rest, if you happen to see me on the rail trail this week, I apologize because I tried something new in all my studying on rest, and now people are going to look for me on the rail trail. But he said, while you're walking, to literally take every step and breathe in God and breathe out other stuff. So you're supposed to walk and you're supposed to go. So I felt ridiculous. I'm really hoping, I mean, even Max was walking by me kind of going like, giving me the side-eyed as the dog, like, what are you doing? Every step. Breathe in God, breathe out other stuff, and get rid of that stuff. So here I am walking down the rail trail, and I just felt so much better. I felt like God was right there in me, and I had these moments with just God, just walking on the rail trail this week, and just kind of going, God, I get it. Like it was kind of our alone time conversations that we were having, where I was breathing in God and realizing that moment of rest, that moment of just, okay, God, I can do this. We can do this. You have this. You're going before us, God. Rest is so important. In the middle of this crazy world, in the middle of everything, to take a moment and say, okay, God, and I encourage you more than anything to find time to rest. Whether it be this weekend, in the middle of Labor Day weekend, and where it's supposed to be, I love the line in that video. I'm vacationing. I have 60 hamburgers to make. I have all this stuff, right? Like, no. Find a moment to rest. Find a moment to take a deep breath and go, God, what is it that you have? Breathe in God and realize that He has so much for you. Sometimes all it takes is just taking a moment and resting. So if nothing else is at home with you today, here's my take-home point. Interject pockets of rest to pull away from your daily routine. Find pockets of rest. Whether they can't fire me anymore. One of the things I used to do when I taught in Beaverton was during my conference hour, Jamie's shaking her head at me. Partly because she knew I took a blanket with me to school, and it was in my file cabinet. And I would take my blanket out, and I'd wrap myself at my desk, and I would just sit there, and sometimes I'd put my head on my desk, and sometimes I would turn off my lights and lock the door and act like I was in a meeting or something. But I would take just 20 minutes a day to just go, you know what? The daily routine of everything else. And here I am going to just take 20 minutes, and I'm going to just rest. And I'm going to recharge. I'm going to be ready for the next class of students that come in that I love so dearly. I really did. But I interjected pockets of rest to pull away from the daily routine. So that, again, I can't tell you what to do for you, but you ask God, what is it that you would have? What does rest look like? Pray with me, won't you? Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you today. Thank you for a weekend of celebrating. Thank you for friends that are out camping, fishing, doing whatever this weekend, finding their ways to rest. For some of us, we just struggle with what that looks like. How do we rest when there's so many things to do? How do we rest, God, when you have just a million things on your plate and you don't know how to prioritize, how to do all this? But God, it's so important that not only do we rest, but we rest with you in your Spirit, God. In the craziness of this life and from either sports, school, jobs, whatever it is, that we take a minute and go and breathe in you. May we rest in you, God, knowing that you love, knowing that you care, and knowing that you want the best for us. It's in your strong and powerful name we pray. Amen.